Hello, everyone. My name is Bren,
My name is Jem.
and this is the Trunk2Tale podcast, in which we're seeking to humanize healthcare through the sharing of stories.
And this week we have a fantastic guest, Nellinne Pereira. And I've met Nellinne because we're going to do a project, hopefully at Leicester General Hospital. And Nellinne is a psychologist from the University of Leicester. And Nellinne is originally from Sri Lanka and moved to England in her mid-20s. She was a music teacher, plays the piano, and did her higher education in the UK, a BSc in music and psychology, an MRes, which for those who don't know what it is, go away and try and find out, in music, and a PhD in applied psychology. She's done the Suzuki teacher training up to level 4, which is based on a mother tongue and a positive psychological approach. And some of her initiatives in a private music studio were to get the students to perform regularly in dementia centres and care homes. So obviously that's of real interest to us. Competitions, annual concerts, and Christmas get-togethers. And as I said, she's now a lecturer at the University of Leicester, as I used to be. And her research interests have extended to health and well-being in other contexts, such as the staff and students, and also workplace well-being and well-being through engaging in leisure activities. So, Nellinne, first of all, I'd really like to know why you think music is such a powerful trigger for the memory.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for having me. So, to answer you technically, I think it's more in a neuroscience perspective. But I discovered that when I was very young. So when I started learning piano at the age of probably around 11, 13, in Sri Lanka, we lived with our grandparents. So my grandparents were with me. I used to play the piano, so practicing, and I used to play the school anthem. Apparently, my grandmother also went to the same school. So here my grandmother couldn't recognize her own sons and daughters. She couldn't recognize us because she was suffering with dementia. And then when I was playing the school anthem is when she started singing along. And then I was really surprised. So this is with no knowledge of psychology or how music and psychology is connected. We did not have psychology in the local curriculum either. So I had no knowledge of this connection, but I was really, really surprised. And I think that was one of the reasons for me to pursue health and well-being in psychology, and also really wanted to have this music, not just as a student and even in my teaching, to incorporate that into playing in dementia centers, care homes. And also part of it is in older ages when people have dementia and they become isolated and lonely. And I saw the enjoyment she had while singing it. She had smiles, all of that. So I think that is a powerful tool, and that's what brought me here.
Yeah. So I have been thinking a little bit about this, and I wondered, do you think music is a deeper thing in us than language? Because we were probably making noise and music like birds make music for language, so to speak. Were humans making music for language a long time before we were, talking like we're talking now? So is it a deeper thing in us than words, music?
Yeah, exactly. Because talking a little bit about the mother tongue approach in the Suzuki method as well. So the mother tongue approach is exactly what you described, Jeremy. So we learn language by listening. Even when the mother is pregnant, children hear the noises, they absorb all that, they recognize voices when they are born. All of that happens, and then actually before you read and write, you start to speak. So that's with all this absorption from the environment and that positive reinforcement from parents and everyone around. If you make a mistake, you don't say, "Oh, this is how you should pronounce." You don't tell to a child. You just encourage them, and that's exactly what happens in this mother tongue approach music as well. We hear these sounds and everything. So what this method does is it applies to the we've applied that same mother tongue approach. So where you put a CD, listen to it every single day, even whether you're playing or doing something else, and then children absorb these sounds, and they can figure out the tune themselves without knowing what key it is or anything. It's really an amazing method. So I can see the connection between language and music. So it has a very deep root into memory and all of that. Probably that's why it is very effective even when at dementia stages, when they can't recognize people, where they can still remember those songs and sing along.
Yes, you had a similar experience, I think, to me, Nellinne. My mother had Alzheimer's, and when she was in the nursing home, the only thing that really brought her some joy was music. And she was still singing songs from her childhood. But obviously those songs do include words. So she couldn't express herself using language very easily, but she could use words very clearly when she was singing. So why is that?
Yeah, that is what I think really surprised me at that age as well. So to answer that question in a very technical term, I think you need to go into the details of neuroscience, and I have not explored that area. So I'm not an expert in neuroscience, but
Right.
I am more of an applied psychologist.
Uh-huh.
So where you apply different practices to everyday life. So that is what my expertise is in.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, okay.
And have you got any experiences of if music is used, does cognitive function seem to improve in any sort of way, or is it just stopping things getting worse, or do you actually see some proper improvement in a measurable way? I don't know how psychologists measure such things. So if you can talk a little bit about that, that would be interesting.
Yeah. So what I with my area of expertise and what I have read about research, so there is a lot of use of music to enhance everyday well-being. So where to tackle isolation and loneliness, and to improve their quality of life, you can use music in everyday life, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it improves memory. Probably there is in smaller context, but I can't tell you with confidence because, well, I have to read about it and then let you know. There's a lot of research done in that area, but a psychologist with that expertise would be able to answer that. So like we see in care homes, so when I used to do I used to play regularly at care homes and dementia centers. So during summer holidays is when I get my students also to play. So we do sing-along sessions. So it's just that joy that it brings to them. When that time comes, or when they see me, they all come, gather around. They are very eager to come quickly and sit, and then they sing. So the ones who don't talk that much, so even the carers and the care home owners are quite surprised of like how they sing and they dance, they make movements, all of that. And one of them actually was telling me, oh, you're from, so when I said I was from Sri Lanka, Ceylon, I have been to Ceylon. And then because Sri Lanka used to be known as Ceylon before. And then the owner of the care home didn't actually believe it. So he thought, oh, probably he's referring to something else. And I said, no, actually, Sri Lanka was known as Ceylon. And so he remembered. So there is, so I think regularly, if you engage in this sort of activities, it would be able to, like, for them to reminiscence about what has happened and bring some sort of memories through music, and improve their quality of life, I think is very important.
And is your involvement with people with dementia, Nellinne, is it only through music?
Yeah, so in a psychology perspective, I'm not involved with dementia patients, and that's an area I would like to be, but it's very vast, and dementia research can be it's a whole area on its own.
Yes.
So I think this is my first project that I am getting involved in a psychological perspective. But before that, it was just to connect that experience of when I started, and then to have that same sort of enjoyment, to see other people happy. That's what made me want to do that. I knew the benefits, but I've not really gone into dementia research as a psychologist.
I was introduced to you by Elisabetta. She's a geriatric consultant, or she's a psychiatrist, or she's a what's the difference between the sort of thing that Elisabetta does, and how did you know her for her to
Yeah,
bring you into the project? Did you somehow, how did you meet her?
yeah. So Elisabetta, she's a clinical psychologist, and I am supervising a doctorate in clinical psychology student, Sarah Gardner. So she's doing looking at the effects of music therapy. That's how I met Elisabetta, because I'm the first supervisor and Elisabetta is the second supervisor. So at a conversation, I mentioned about my interest in dementia research, and in a small way, I wanted to contribute to that and to get involved in some sort of project. I'm primarily an academic, so my main role is teaching. So I'm a teaching focused lecturer, but 20% of my time I can use for research. So I look for projects that interest me.
Nellinne, you're actually, how would you describe it? You're writing questions which people will answer to help get some feedback on the Trunk2Tale research project at the Leicester General. Is that correct?
So I'm actually more coming into this project as in a more psychological perspective, in a sense, academic nature. So like interview questions, are they in line with the ethics, how we are supposed to conduct interview research. So I've been trained in that way for interview research, questionnaire research, what can be asked, what cannot be asked. And I'm also in the ethics review panel. So more about the refining of the studies and data analysis and writing up of a report and the paper.
Right. That must be very difficult.
Yeah.
To do precisely.
To be able to. So you need to know about the context, background, all of that, and to be able to put it all together. Yeah. It's different from what a clinical psychologist would do or a psychiatrist would do.
Yes. Yeah.
You're talking about your interaction with students. So you're a lecturer, and I just wonder if in whether you ever talking to the undergraduate students or postgraduate students about dementia, and whether you get any sense of their understanding of it as a thing in the first place, because it's a very broad area, isn't it? And then what their attitudes are, because it's one of those things that a bit like dyslexia, people quite happy making jokes about people's lack of memory. So there's a lot, you know what I mean? So what do you make of society's attitude towards dementia?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I do master's research supervision, dissertation supervision, and I've just started a PhD supervision as well. With undergraduates, we've just introduced a lecture on music psychology. So I talk a little bit about, how music can improve the quality of life of dementia patients. So one challenge we are facing is, even though if students want to do a project on dementia research, it's the access to participants. So because it has to go through NHS ethics, we discourage students to do projects which require NHS ethics because of the scope of time. Because they start their research proposals around March. This is for master's dissertations. Then they have to submit in September. So this involves a rigorous ethics process. So by this time, we are still applying for ethics. So it has to go through the supervisor, then a secondary reviewer, and then this is the university ethics. So if we were to recruit participants for dementia research, it would be a bit challenging. So up to now, even though I think I've supervised around at least 40 to 50 projects up to now, that area has not been explored within the supervision here.
I mean, that's it's interesting in the sense that we're now in working with the Leicester General Hospital. Our main challenge is GDPR and whether or not they're going to allow us, the IT people, they're going to allow us to put some sort of app onto the ward. And I don't know whether you think that they're being overprotective because these are vulnerable people. Are they being overprotective, or do you think no, we're going through the right processes, or do you think, back to what you were saying, we're stopping ourselves from improving the lives of these people by over anxiety about ethics? What do you think the balance is there between health and ethics in that broad sense?
Yeah, I'm an ethics reviewer as well. So I see the advantage of being in that position as well, because if going back to where these research projects were started, there were quite the earlier studies show that there was quite harm to humans by doing unethical research. So that is why all these processes are in place. And also, I think when students say for a dissertation project, if they want to do something, and if they really want to and they determine, they might not think of the consequences of the participant. So how would they feel? So to make them feel comfortable and that voluntary participation is important, not to force people to take part or obtaining consent, all these are valid points. It's because there might be a few incidents that would have put the processes in place, especially working with vulnerable people when they don't have the capacity to consent or withdraw their data. Guardians or those who are responsible should provide that. So I think if you are able to explain it and, within reasons to do a good research project, there should be proper processes in place. But I don't know when it comes to students, because they will do their project 1 year, then they will be gone. How can they be accountable for that? But whereas if you are involving, psychologists and hospital staff and organization like yours, there's more accountability, but it also makes it hard for you to go through the process and navigate the challenges.
Yeah. I mean, I feel conflicted myself from because I've seen what a lot of, as a mathematician, and the building of the nuclear bomb is one of those things that you think, we should really think first before we start doing what we can do. And it's the same with this, is that I tend to be a bit gung-ho in this way. I think let's get on and try and do this thing, and then I forget, well, there's a million things that could go wrong, and then the people who look after that stuff are important people. But back to the question of, because Trunk2Tale is a sort of technological solution, and we're trying to think about how to deliver personalized support to people. What role do you think more technology can have in improving the lives of people with dementia and the people who care for them?
Yeah, I think this is a really useful project. I was really happy to be part of it. One reason being, I'm away from my parents, so I'm from Sri Lanka. I've just been on holiday, seen them and come back. So when you see your parents, so they are aging year by year, so what they could do, they can't do anymore, certain things. So it is sad to see them once a year and then see how their health is declining. So technology, I think, can play a huge part, like just a video call, once a week to see them. And also when my mom was quite ill 2 years ago, and then one main stress I had was I was there for 7 weeks, and then when I came back, oh, how is she going to be? My brothers are there, they are carers, all of that, but just not being able to be there was a huge stress for me. So like an app and sharing regular videos of how they are, how they interact, or just being able to be part of that on a day-to-day basis would reduce the loved one's anxiety as well, and that feeling of helplessness, or what can I do from here? Um, so I think that it's not just for the dementia patients or the elderly. It could be extended to not just dementia patients, but other health populations as well, aging populations, I would say. And I think it's a big network for the family, to be family, friends, to be in touch with the patient and know how things are going. That's a huge way of enhancing quality of life, I'd say.
Yeah, you picked up there on something that we felt was particularly, for example, when parents go into nursing homes, a lot of children have guilt about that. And of course, they don't have easy access. So reassurance is very important. And obviously, empowerment might be too strong a word, but if you feel powerless when you're so far apart, that sense of knowing what's going on is helpful.
Yes.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you something again, Nellinne, about music. Do you think that music, when, for example, people with dementia are listening to music, that music is simply a temporary relief, if you like, from daily living, or is there any evidence that you've come across that it might slow down the progress of dementia?
I've read articles, but I can't tell you, like, with confidence exactly, yes, it is, because I need to go back, and whatever I say has to be evidence-based.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I think there are effects of it being slowing the process, but I don't know to what extent.
Right.
So, and I don't want to answer it without
No.
really referring.
Well, okay, I'll ask another question then. In your research, in relation to music and dementia, usually how far back does the memory go? So your grandmother was singing your school assembly. Was it your school anthem?
School
Okay.
anthem. So she was also in the same school.
Okay, so
Yeah.
she was in school. So that was her childhood.
Yeah.
At what point does she stop singing songs, if you like, that she learned? I mean, does she sing songs from when she was 30 or 40 or 50, or only say from under 20?
I was not, so I didn't have this psychology background to even do that sort of experiment, but otherwise I would.
Okay.
At that time, just clueless. And then I think that incident stuck in my head, and that's why I wanted to spread that joy, like in some way contributed here when I came here. So I was not involved in dementia research at any point. It's just that sort of personal contribution, but I want to in future. But I had a chat with one of my supervisors a month ago, so she explained dementia research can be very big, but it's a very large area. You can have a job on its own, like a whole career just based on that itself.
Right.
So I'm a little bit hesitant sometimes because probably I'm away from my family and all, and that those experiences of seeing them. And my father had Parkinson's, so towards the end, he had dementia as a side effect of it. So just if I had to do it all the time, I don't think I would be able to handle all that. So I am happy teaching, but a little bit I want to contribute to that as well.
Yes.
Nellinne, you when we first met, I said, "Oh, you can have a free access to the app," and then what you asked about was how hard is it for somebody to operate, and we've started to grapple with the question of how people who were had dementia would be interacting. My mum's 88, and she struggles with technology, not dementia, just struggles. And so we thought of thinking about language interaction. So we've got another person to come on in a few weeks who's working on language interaction. And that. But do you think if your parents and helpers could speak to something, that would improve the chances of something being useful for people if it was a sort of verbal interaction? Or do you think that's what do you think about that?
I think that would, because one major concern I had was here, I think even carers, they speak English. So English is your primary language. But in Sri Lanka, English is a second language, and primary languages are Sinhalese and Tamil. So our carers, they are not able to read or speak in English fluently, or to operate a tablet which has written English instructions. So that was a main issue for me, because my mother lives on her own with a carer. But if they were able to speak to something, they know to operate a phone because they have mobile phones. But if they were able to speak to something, they would be, but they wouldn't be able to read and follow instructions. And if I were in the same country and I could go once a week, show my mom how to operate something, it would be like something feasible for me. But being here, and sometimes she has this notebook and the phone, she'll tell, when you come, I'm going to ask you how to attach a photograph, how to do that. So then she writes all of that down, and then she just does things. So like Facebook, and now she's unable to go and search for someone and look at pictures, so I will show her, but sometimes it's a bit difficult.
Yeah. Well, I'm aware, Nellinne, we're coming to the end of the time, but it's been absolutely fantastic chatting to you, and I'm hoping this is just the beginning for us. And Bren was asking a few questions, and there's a lot of open area for us to try to sort of explore how to help people who've are suffering memory loss of one form or another. So thank you very much for coming on and talking to us. Bren, have you got anything you'd like to add?
Yes. No, all I want to say is thank you, Nelly. I only regret that we didn't ask you to sing your school anthem. Maybe next time.
I was playing it. Yeah, I was playing it, not singing it. But it was really, it's an amazing project that you're doing. And I have a strong feeling that it can be extended not just for dementia patients, but to other areas as well. So I know the start can be challenging with ethical approval and all of that, but it is a very, very useful and a really good project. So I'm very happy to be involved in it.
Thank you, Nelly.
Well, goodbye, everybody. Looking forward to the next episode.
Till next time. Bye-bye.